Hey guys, I'm up with the coach today. My son called me the other night. I got in Sunday from bike week. Sunday evening he called me and said my coach was making funny sounds and just clicking on and off. So I come up here and let me spin this around where you can see. Hopefully it'll show. My progressive surge protector was kicking in and out about every 40-45 seconds. I had it plugged into his house. So all I did, I just unplugged everything because it was late. So I come back up here, plug it back in, and it's still doing it. So I changed these plugs. I changed this plug. I got a couple of them. I changed extension cords, and it was still doing it. I got his generator. He has a portable generator. I got it out. Now the only thing on was my refrigerator. I got it out, plugged all this into his generator, and it was doing it. So I had no idea what it was. So I called Progressive. I sat on the phone with them. They was really good. I sat on the phone. We took this thing apart, pulled the relay cover out, and tested. There's two legs. We tested every leg. I was pulling wires off. We was testing everything with the meter, and this is fine. And whenever you get below 104 volts, this thing kicks off. It doesn't let anything come into the coach. So for some reason, I'm losing volts. So it was nothing they could do. So I closed this back up, and I went to my transfer switch right here, which is up here. I doubt if you guys will be able to see this really good. So what I did is I turned all the breakers off in the coach, and I tested coming in and going out. And he only got one leg because I'm only hooked to 110. But with all the breakers off, I have 120, 120. So 120 coming in, 120 going out. So then I started flipping breakers one at a time. And I got all the breakers on, everything was fine. But I got to the 30 amp breaker, which is my inverter goes through that. I think your AC, probably the dryer, washer, microwave, heavy things go through that. As soon as I turned that on, I dropped down to like 98 or 100. So whatever's on that 30 amp is what's drawing me down. So I started unplugging everything, and I don't know if it's the breaker itself's going bad. I'm waiting on my son to get here because my bed won't stay up, and my panel it's on the outside, but in order to take the cover off I have to raise the bed up and hold it and pull it out. But anyways, he's gonna be home from work in a little bit. So I'm gonna test the breaker and see what I got coming out of the breaker. And otherwise, the only thing I can figure it out that it would be the inverter maybe. I called Bryan, the guy that installed this, my solar, and I'm waiting on him to call me back. He's in Idaho right now doing an install, so it might be a day or two. Usually he's pretty fast, but his customer that he is at, it comes first, and I understand that. So he'll get back with me, and I'm not that big a hurry. I would like to figure it out, but I hope it's not the inverter. I was reading in the directions on the inverter, you can do a reset on it, but I don't want to do it until I talk to Bryan. Progressive said I could have a short somewhere too. In whatever is going through that breaker, I could have a short in it too. So my inverter, all the batteries, my inverter, all that setup is fail proof. I have a lot of fuses and everything on. I'm not worried about anything coming off of it and burning my coach down, but I am worried about if it's something else. I did unplug the fridge because I have had trouble with the fridge. I unplugged the fridge, and that wasn't it. The dryer runs through all the outlets, which like the dryers and everything's plugged into, and the washer runs through a sub panel through the inverter, so it doesn't even go through that 30 amp. So the microwave's not on. I'm lost. I don't know what it is, but we'll get it figured out. Get up here. The inverter right now is charging my batteries, because the other day when I came up here, it there it is. It was everything was running, but where it was kicking on and off, I had my fridge and everything on. It was running off of my solar, so I had to kill everything, kill the fridge and everything, because we still had stuff in it, in order to I was thinking of something else. Whenever I do that, I can't concentrate what I'm saying. So stick with me. So I came up and I killed everything, but it took, I'm trying to remember, it was almost 200 amps out of my battery trying to run that fridge, and it was on quite a while, so that's why we have it off. So I don't know, because it kicks on, it kicks off. Well, it's mainly trying to run everything on solar, so I don't know, I'm at a loss right now. My son gets up here, I'll start testing the breakers, have him hold the bed up for me, and I'll get the breaker box panel took off, and we'll start testing that. And then hopefully Bryan will call me back tonight or tomorrow and tell me, I don't know how to test the inverter. I'm assuming I could test, you know what happens when you assume though. I'm assuming I could test the coming from the sub panel into the inverter and then back. I don't know. We'll have to wait on that one. But just an update what we're doing. So I don't know. I'm gonna just button this stuff back up and wait on him, and we'll test that, and I'll let you know how that goes. But I hope it's not the inverter. Inverter's under warranty, but I really don't want to take that out. There's a lot of wires, a lot of big heavy wires, so I'm capable. I just don't wanna. Guys, back up at the coach. Bryan got back with me, and we spent about an hour going through the whole system trying to figure out what it was, and we think it's a breaker. This is the old breaker, but you see it still snaps like it's supposed to. It's just, you know, I had no power coming out. I had power going in, no power coming out, so it was $6, and that was the easiest thing to try. But he had me go to my transfer switch, pull the panel off, and where the generator comes in and goes out, I was good, and where the power comes in and goes out, I'm good. I went to where the power from the 30 amp comes into the inverter, took that panel off, and I had nothing. I have power from my batteries to the inverter, but then I have nothing going back to that 30 amp. So that's the culprit. When you guys are, if you're ever buying breakers, there are different breakers. They're all not the same. You want, for one, you want to make sure that they're the same thickness. Get this up here. You want to make sure they're the same thickness. Focus. Let me get focused. But the most important part, you want to make sure that they're the same all the way around. But the most important part is that part right there. This is where it snaps back in to the bar. There's a name for it, and somebody's out there saying it right now, but I don't know what it is. But it's where that snaps into the bar. One I looked at, this slot was over on the side more. It wasn't in the center like this one is. You want to make sure that your line that comes in is on the same side. You just want to make sure they're uniform in size, so when you go to snap it back in, it snaps back in, and it works. So there you go. I'm going to try this. I'm going to go out and test the system, see if it works, and give Bryan a call either way. I'll get back with you. Alright guys, so I changed it out. I called Bryan. He answered. He's on his way to, he was in Oregon on his way to Washington. Then he's cutting across the top half. But anyways, that was the culprit. $7. I think it was $6. I had to look at the receipt. Like $6.70 for a breaker that was made in China. Junk. Still snaps. But that was it. That was killing everything. It was not given enough volts at first that made my surge protector keep kicking off. But then it just finally ended up, when I put my surge protector on bypass and started, you know, trying to figure it out and test the system, it just burnt the rest of the way out. But there's all kinds of breakers out there. Make sure that you pull your old one out. Just don't go to the store and buy one. Pull your old one out, take it in there and compare them, and make sure that the slot that it slides into the lug or whatever it is back there, make sure it lines up in the center. Make sure it's the width, length. Make sure your screws in the right place, because you'll get home and pull the old one out and it won't fit, and it has to fit to work. So I'm going to take you out and I'm going to show you everything Bryan ran me through to figure out that it was that, because he basically was running the system through his head and making me start at the beginning and running all the way through. He kind of, about halfway through, he knew it was the 30 amp, this breaker, but he wanted to make sure it was that, and he was running me through making sure the inverter and everything's good. So let me take you out here. Okay, so the first thing, this is the progressive, and you can see now on the remote that L1, L2, everything's fine on it. No codes, no nothing. But that's what was kicking out. So the power comes through this cord, comes into this, and then it goes out and it goes up to this transfer right here. Let me get this in here better. Now this transfer is what transfers you from shore power, your generator, your solar. It switches everything. This white one is the generator coming in, and then this big black one is my 50 amp coming in. He had me test the bottom with my generator running, this side, which is coming in, and the outside, and I was good. And this side and going out was good. So that told him that part was good. Then we come over to this. So this is my inverter. These is the hot and the ground coming in from my batteries, which is in this other compartment. So on the side panel right here, this right here, oops, get down here, this here is coming from that 30 amp breaker. He put the 30 amp in that runs the sub panel. I'm probably not saying that right. Matter of fact, that don't sound right. But this is it. So when we come in and we tested right here, we had no power on either side coming in or out. So that let him know that that's what it was. So we are fixed. We are battening up the hatches, putting everything back together, and it's fixed. $7 part. I'm so glad, because I was really thinking it might be the inverter for some strange reason, but he said they are pretty much fail proof. They do go bad, but he said not like that. So I'm glad, because even though it's under warranty, it would just be a pain in the butt to switch out, ship back. I don't know how it's 80 pounds. I don't know how you ship it back, but I'm assuming they would send you a box. But that's it. We got it fixed, and like I said, I'm gonna put everything back together, and we should be good. But if you ever have any trouble like that, just run the system down. You know, you go where the power comes in and then follow the power all the way through, and eventually you'll find the weak link. But I hope this helps somebody. If it doesn't, you probably just wasted about 15 minutes of your life watching this. Hey, like and share, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you guys.